Hey there, ever had that moment in an interview where your mind just goes blank? You know the answer, you have studied it many times, but right when it matters most, poof, it's gone. Yeah, we have been all there, that sinking feeling when the interviewer is waiting and suddenly your brain decides it's time for a vacation, right? I'm Farhad, and that problem got me thinking, what if we could practice realistic interviews whenever we wanted with feedback system that actually helps? So I built something to solve that exact problem. This is MockGorilla, a AI-powered interview practice system. Let me show you how it works. First, you will create an account. Nothing fancy here, just standard name, email, and password. Security matters, right? So I implemented proper authentication through Google's Firebase. And now we are in. This is your dashboard. See how clean it is? I designed it with Tailwind CSS to be responsive and intuitive. Here we can choose from interviews others have created or make your own custom one. Let's create a new one to show you how that works. Now, here is where it gets really cool. Instead of filling out boring forms, you just talk to the AI assistant. So let me create an interview session for me to show you.
Hello, Farhad Hossain. Let's prepare your interview. I will ask you a few questions and generate a perfect interview just for you. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready and super excited to demo this application. Yeah, let's go ahead.
Okay, great. Let's get started. Could you please tell me what role you would like to train for?
I'd like to train for front-end React developer position. So yeah, let's go ahead.
Got it. And are you aiming for technical, behavioral, or mixed interviews?
I'd like to have various types of questions which will help me to excel in all areas. So I'll go with mixed interview types.
Great choice. Now, what job experience level are you targeting for this role?
Okay, well, if someone has 4 years of front-end development experience and 1.5 years of full-stack development experience, would you count them as mid-level developer or anything else?
With that experience, they would generally be considered a mid-level developer because they have a solid foundation in front-end development along with some full-stack exposure. Shall I go ahead and note mid-level?
Yeah, let's do it with mid-level.
Noted. Now, could you share the tech stack you'd like to cover during the interview?
Okay, so I'd like to have Reactjs, Redux, and JavaScript, as well as a little bit of Next.js and Node.js. Also, don't forget to add Redux.js as well, because that's important for bigger application when it comes to managing the application states on the front end side, right?
Got it. React.js, Redux.js, JavaScript, Next.js, and Node.js, all bases covered there. Lastly, how many questions would you like me to prepare for you?
What do you think, like within 35 minutes, how many questions would be a perfect fit for me to practice?
I'd say around 8 to 10 questions should fit well into 35 minutes, giving you enough time to think and practice each one. Should we go with 10 to aim high?
Okay, let's go for 7 questions. Yeah.
Got it. The interview has been generated. Thanks for your call. If you need anything else or have any questions, just let me know.
Yep, thank you. See how easy that was? The voice interface is built using Vapi, which lets me connect to advanced AI models, and behind the scenes there is a lot happening. Next.js server rendering, data validation with Jod, and all that good stuff that makes this application run smoothly. So our interview is ready. Let's dive in.
Hello. Thank you for taking the time to speak with me today. I'm excited to learn more about you and your experience.
Yeah, I'm really excited as well. So let's kick this off.
Great. Let's start with a technical question. Can you describe a time you had to debug a complex React application? What tools and strategies did you use?
Okay, so once I debugged a React application where the search bar stopped returning results, so the way I fixed it is using Chrome DevTools. I saw that a 400 bad request in the network tab, and then I saw some logs on the console, and I see like I logged the query on the console, and I see on the console it was returning undefined. So, and then I traced the props using React Dev Tools, and I see the query state wasn't updating correctly. And to fix it, I realized that onChange handler wasn't correctly setting the state due to a typo. Like it was event.target.value with ending with double E. So I had to remove one E. I had to fix that typo to make it work again. I'm not sure if that was enough.
That's a great example. It sounds like you effectively used a combination of tools like Chrome Dev Tools and React Dev Tools to trace the issue. It's impressive how you tracked it down to a typo in the event handler. Nice work. Let's move to the next question. All right. Can you explain the difference between controlled and uncontrolled components in React? When would you choose one over the other?
That's a small one, but I think I'll have to take a little bit of time to explain it.
Of course, take your time.
Okay.
Please go ahead.
Yeah. So
No.
controlled components are form elements where React manages the state. The input's value is tied to the component state using useState. Okay, so which gives full control over user input and allows for things like validation, conditional rendering, or formatting. And on the other hand, uncontrolled components let the DOM handle the state initially. You access the input values using reps, which is use reps in React, and they are quicker to set up and useful when you don't need React to monitor every keystroke, like for example form submissions or integrating with third-party libraries. So typically I use controlled components when I need real-time validation or tight control over the user input, and uncontrolled components for performance and sensitive or simpler use cases. Was that enough?
Yes, that's a clear explanation. You highlighted the key differences well and gave practical examples for when to use each. Thank you. Let's move on. Can you walk me through a recent project where you used Redux? What were the benefits of using Redux in that project, and what challenges did you face?
That's a tough one, but
Take your time.
Yeah. So in a recent project, I used Redux in a large-scale dashboard application to manage global state across deeply nested components. So especially user data, permissions, and notification states. So the benefits were predictable state management, centralized control, and easy debugging with Redux dev tools. And the middleware like Redux Thunk also helped me to handling complex asynchronous logic like chained API requests. So the main challenge was the boilerplate, setting up actions, reducers, and types become verbose. So especially compared to modern tools like Justand or React Context for smaller apps. So to mitigate that, I used Redux Toolkit, which simplified the setup and made reducer more concise. Overall, Redux was right because Redux was right fit for our application because the app has a complex shared state across multiple domains. But I would reach for lighter alternatives if the state needs were more localized. You know what I mean?
Got it. That's a solid approach and reasoning. You handled the complexity well by using Redux Toolkit and evaluated when to opt for lighter options. Nice job. Now, tell me about a time you had to work with a tight deadline on a front-end project. How did you prioritize your tasks and ensure quality?
Okay, so I'm not sure if I would be able to give you a satisfied answer, but yeah. So in a recent project I was working, so I had just 1 week to deliver a working MVP of a scheduling app with authentication, booking logic, and calendar integration. So to manage the deadline, I first broke down the core features into must-haves versus nice-to-haves, and focusing on the critical path. like user sign up, booking flow, and event syncing. So I use pre-built UI components from ShadCN and scaffolded with boilerplate where possible to save time, So I ensured quality by writing reusable form logic with validation, JOD, and React hook form, setting up E2E flows early, and testing critical paths manually after each feature. So I also kept the code clean and modular, so I could iterate fast without breaking things, right? And the MVP launched on time, and we extended it later with secondary features like reminders and availability meetings. So yeah, that was my approach around tight deadline, and that was one of the example where I used my own approach to get around.
Thank you for sharing that. You handled the tight deadline strategically by focusing on core features and using efficient tools. It's also great that you prioritize clean modular code to allow future updates. Excellent work. Let's move on to the last question. How do you approach writing unit tests for React components? What are some key things you test for?
So the AI interviewer is asking me questions based on exactly what I requested. It's adjusting to my answers in real time, just like a real interviewer would. So let me skip ahead and show you what happens after the interview. This is probably my favorite part. Not just a score, but actual useful feedback. See how it breaks down my answers. It highlights where I nailed it and where I could improve. It's analyzing my communication style, technical accuracy, or even how confident I sounded. And I can take this same interview again to practice or create a totally different one. And yeah, it works perfectly on mobile too, so you could literally practice while waiting for your actual interview. Much better use of time than scrolling on social media and making yourself more nervous, right? So from a technical perspective, MockGorilla demonstrates my proficiency in modern React development with Next.js, TypeScript programming with TypeScript for clean, maintainable code architecture, performance optimization techniques, and voice API integration with Vapi, secure authentication flows with Firebase, and responsive design implementation with Tailwind CSS. And also there is state management best practices and asynchronous programming patterns behind the scene. So, I cannot show right here. So yeah, finally I deployed the application on Vercel with CI/CD capabilities for global scale and real-time monitoring. So throughout development, I overcame several technical challenges like optimizing real-time voice processing to reduce latency, implementing robust error handling for AI service disruption, and also creating an efficient prompts in combination of user-given inputs like job roles, number of questions to craft interview questions, and their interview answers to extract meaningful insights using Google's Gemini API for real feedback users can reflect upon, right? So you can explore the live application at mockgorilla.vercel.app and see this technical solution in action. And yeah, thanks for watching, and feel free to reach out if you would like to discuss any project and my technical approach or potential opportunities. I'm always open to connecting with people that values innovative solution. And if you are a developer, go ahead, play around with the code base. The GitHub link is in the description. Peace.